Good morning, everybody. Let us take up today William Wordsworth's poem, The Solitary Reaper. William Wordsworth, born in 1770 and died in 1850, is one of the leading figures of Romantic movement. It was the publication of lyrical ballads in 1798, a collaborative venture by Wordsworth and Coleridge, which heralded Romanticism in English poetry, expressing a new attitude to nature and a new faith in human being. According to Wordsworth, poetry is the spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings. It takes its origin from emotions recollected in tranquility. This definition of poetry given by him is a reflection of the Romantic period, where the essential characteristics of poetry were emotions and feelings accompanied by reflection and recollection of emotion, followed by imagination and contemplation of the subject, leading to the creation of poetry. It can be understood from a diagrammatic illustration, which I cannot probably show, but it can be understood verbally like thus: that it begins with observation, that is followed by experience, followed by impression, and then reflection and recollection, followed by imagination, that is creative impulse, and finally composition. Let us continue and move on to the impressions which Wordsworth received before he wrote this poem. Because being a romantic poet, he was an impressionistic poet also. Wordsworth's tours in Scotland inspired some of his best lyrics. His poem, The Solitary Reaper, epitomizes the romantic imagination of the poet as he recalls an experience he had during his visit to the Highlands of Scotland, where he was thrilled by a song sung in her native Highland tongue by a young woman engaged in reaping alone in an upland field. There are two different versions that inform the origin of the poem. Firstly, it is said that Wordsworth, while once touring Scotland with his sister Dorothy and a poet friend Coleridge, saw a country girl engrossed in reaping and singing simultaneously. The music of the song touched his heart, and he immortalized the emotional experience in the poem. Another version of its origin is supposed to have been suggested by a manuscript written by a friend that refers to a sentence which goes thus: "Passed a female who was reaping alone. She sung in Erse, as she bended over his sickle, the sweetest human voice I ever heard. As she bended over her sickle, the sweetest human voice I ever heard. Her strains were tenderly melancholy and felt delicious long after they were heard no more." Whatever the source of inspiration for the poet, it is significant to note that the overflow of powerful feelings at the sight of the reaper singing a song and the poetic imagination together have produced this beautiful poem. The Solitary Reaper is a charming piece of romantic music, kindled by the impression made on the poet's mind by the loveliness of the reaper's song and the touch of melancholy in its music. It is an example of an emotional experience recalled after a time and woven into poetry. The emotional experience recalled after time and woven into a fine poetry. Besides that, the poem also epitomizes the spirit of Romanticism, and next to that we discuss how Romanticism and its spirit is there found in the Solitary Reaper. This lyric also, like many other poems, vividly brings home to the reader Wordsworth's profound love for nature and his belief that natural surroundings and people born and brought up amidst nature receive an indelible impression from its heavenly beauty that no other form of life can even match or attain. Moreover, the poet, in his expression of the ideas, adheres to the simplest words of everyday use to produce a matchless effect through the musical delight of phrasing and rhythm. The singer's voice becomes almost one with nature, combining human touch into the landscape of the poem, making the song not only the very soul of the valley, but that of the reader at the same time. For a person without a heightened emotion, the sight of the solitary highland girl would not have been of much significance. But the poet catches the moment and reinscribes his emotional response to a scene, a character, and a sentiment, thus embodying the authentic spirit of Romanticism, clearly sounded in its suggestion of the remote and romantic past, recorded in the memorable scene in the simple and living language of the common man. Now let us move stanza by stanza what the poem is suggesting. In the first stanza, Wordsworth touches upon the three major features of the song: its unexpectedness in that remote mountainous region, its mournful note, and its powerful appeal. The opening stanza arrests the reader's attention and bids to behold a common familiar sight of a girl alone in a field, reaping and binding sheaves, and at the same time singing, while the entire valley is overflowing with the sound and music of her song. He elaborates upon the heart-captivating song that a solitary highland lass sings, and it enthralled and enchanted the poet, who appeals to listen to the songs silently or walk away quietly so as not to disturb the girl and interrupt her concentrated singing. The sweetness of the music and the loneliness of the girl, as well as her immersion in singing and working, struck the poet, who conjectures a melancholic note in it. The thought of solitude or loneliness is thrice emphasized in this stanza: single in the field, solitary highland lass, and alone she cuts and binds the grain. The poet swiftly glances at the reaper girl's activities, concentrates on her melancholic song, and with a sudden dramatic turn closes the stanza with the poetic concentration to listen the wail profound, overflowing with the sound. The ing form of the verb repeated thrice in reaping, singing, and overflowing, and the recursive use of the present indefinite tense in cuts, binds, and sings at once draws attention towards the continuity of the gentle actions of the reaper. The poem thus opens a solemn vista into infinity and frames the perceptible setting of the poet to make tranquility an integral element woven into the texture and spirit of the poem. It accentuates the idea of an everlasting impression that the scene and the music carries for all, including the poet himself, who cherished its memory afterwards, and that exercised a profound imprint, an indelible imprint, on the creative impulse of the poet. Yes. The next part or the next stanza of the poem can be reinterpreted in terms of the voices echoing in the sands and the seas. That the sheer unexpectedness of the song made it the more thrilling is stressed in the second stanza by a couple of apt comparisons of the Reaper Girl's song. Wordsworth's imagination soars high to meet the expectations of Romanticism, to transform the ethereal song into something rich and mysterious. The romantic mystery of lands distant and climates remote, of sands and seas, blends with the thrill of the singing voice of the birds, that is, the nightingale chanting among Arabian sands to weary bands of travelers in some shady haunt, and the cuckoo bird breaking the silence of the seas among the farthest Hebrides. The poet is full of praise for the reaper's song as he invokes comparison with these descriptions. The tired travelers have a great relief after a long and tedious journey through the sandy deserts of Arabia as they arrive at an oasis and in its cool shade hear the singing nightingale. Similarly, when the cuckoo bird is heard singing in the remote Hebrides, announcing the advent of spring in the silent seas, its song is heartily welcomed. But sweeter than these two is the music of the Highland girl's song, with an unmatching ecstasy, and anything like that is never felt before. The delineation of two contrasted sound silence images set off against visual images open up vistas of life, infinite and pictorially vivid, desolate and lonesome, yet shrouded in mystery, almost awesome in its silence and stillness, suggesting nature's vastness, solitude, and wilderness. Whereas the nightingale's chant transports the reader to the dreary, far-stretching Arabian sands, the cuckoo's piercing voice, so thrilling, penetrates the silences of the seas. Yes. Next, the poet's conjectures or guesses at what the Reaper Girl is singing. This part can be discussed as sorrow, loss, or pain. In the third stanza, the poet dwells upon the melancholic nature of the song and its theme. He yearns to know the incomprehensible in the song, himself being alien to the language of the region, because there is no one around to explain what the song is about, and since the reaper is singing not in English but in her native Gaelic, a language with which the poet is not familiar, he guesses what the song may mean. It might be about things long past, like battles or some unhappy events. It might be about some matter of common sorrow, loss, or pain that had occurred and may happen again. However, of all, one thing that is certain is a touch of melancholy in her singing, which denotes that the song is replete with the delicate wistfulness and pensive mood. The contrastive imagery here in this stanza define the romantic strain of the poem as the poetic imagination swings back and forth between the picturesque past of battles and the natural, the humble, lay familiar matter of today. And finally, the final stanza testifies to Wordsworth's theory of poetry that says emotions recollected in poetry. In the concluding stanza, the poet reverts to the powerful appeal of the reaper's song and its music that was there in the opening stanza of the poem, and here reiterated through the recurrence of the word listen. that serves as a bridge for the descending imagination. Not only the song seemed to have an endless impression on him, as it lingered in his memory for a long time, after he left the valley, and its music continued to haunt his mind and heart. He remembered the scene through its sound, which remained an abiding possession with the poet to sustain his creativity. It leaves Wordsworth with the privilege that he endorsed and valued most: emotions recollected in tranquility, the eternal spirit that inspired him to compose poetry. Yes, now let us consider the essential features of romantic poetry in connection with this particular poem, The Solitary Reaper. And first of all, it shows the poet's interest in the far away and the long ago. In reading Wordsworth's poem, The Solitary Reaper, we find the romantics sensitive to music that is nearly invisible, and the strain is melancholy, though it might be joyous too simultaneously. Further, the romantic poetry showed a great deal of interest in the far away and the long ago. And this interest in the not present is coupled with an intense awareness, a full recognition of the humble and the matter of fact. The coupling of these interests is evident in The Solitary Reaper also. Wordsworth is more prone towards making poetic subject matter out of the ordinary, everyday human experience and cause them to become uncommon or romantic. Allusions to the distant sands of Arabia and the farthest Hebrides, however distant in miles although they still remain poetically fenced within the margins of the field of grain, where the highland lass cuts, binds, and sings. The mystery of her feelings is heightened by the wonderment of intoned plaintive mood and melody of the song she sings. The poem's intent is to draw the readers into the mysterious experience that the poet encountered and has been haunted by, and to provoke their imagination to the extent whether they are also made to feel motionless and still, so that the imaginative flow that the poet started undergoes a continuum. And finally, we come to the conclusion. Romantic art operates not by statement but by suggestion. Suggestion through imagery and myth, where the process of merging and emerging seem to go concurrently. It is not the character drawing of the reaper that engages the reader, but she is actually allied in the reader's mind with all the associations of nightingale, shady haunts of Arabian deserts, silent seas, far off Hebrides, ancient battles, unhappy things, sorrow, loss, and pain. The Highland Reaper lass is what the readers will create her in their imagination to be. At the end of The Solitary Reaper, there is a remembrance of persons that is very close to being simply a remembrance of nature that surrounds them, possessing the dignity of human uniqueness, rising above their surroundings, even at times impressing themselves on nature in acts of imaginative assertions. Thank you.